Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the inaugural version of Griffy's Den. I'm your host, Hayden Greene. Tonight, our featured poet is Kayo, and he is being accompanied by Fiery Strings Company. Enjoy.
This is a car, positioned here, in front of me, reminding me that it is real, this 2-ton, 4-door, somewhat spacious plain automobile, and I'm trying to recollect when things started to go south. Probably at the time when I decided to open my mouth and tell them the truth, a truth, precisely as I saw it, a truth so surreal they just couldn't ignore it. So now I stand here with no plan here in a wealth of disparagement, words of no meaning, and feeling a chorus of embarrassment. What was meant to be good-willed and somewhat kind-hearted became disaster-filled, and, well, let me tell you how it started. Back when I was 12, I had a vivid imagination. Spending time fighting crime was my primary occupation. Very little did I fear, for I dared to be courageous, would soar up to the sky as high as skyscrapers. I was blessed, no less. No one could hold a candle to the powers that I possess. So yes, I could even handle saving a damsel in distress, can make the wicked cry in this world full of depravity, prove that I can fly as I defy the laws of gravity. I'm glad to be a defender of the weak and meek. Trust this, I will defend all of humanity in the glorious name of justice. They will write poems of my adventures, so make sure you read them right. That I have the strength of 40 men and can move like the speed of light. None can get me rattled as I stay battle-tested. And I'ma let you know by now, just in case you haven't guessed it, that in my mind, I wanted to be a superhero. You know, the kind that goes on the impossible mission, wear some kind of artwork on my shirt and have x-ray vision. I can turn green when I'm angry and go incredibly insane. Give me a truth-telling lasso in an invisible plane, because I want to be a superhero. Built to go against the impossible odds. In a Zeus-like manner, I carry a hammer and only answer to the gods. With great power comes great responsibility felt, great agility and ability, own a utility belt. You see, I want to be a superhero. But is what I really want much different than who I really am? Can I continue to move objects with my mind through thought and be not an ordinary man? Do I have the strength of 40 men? Can I be the fastest? Can I move objects with my mind so real that it can convince the masses? Can I convince the corner boys who claims my powers to be a hoax? They stay forever shunning my endeavors with their cruel and unclever jokes. I know I can convince my mother, she believes I can fly with invisible wings. But my father erupts, he says you're growing up and you need to put away childish things. But I wanted to be a superhero, famed and brighter than the average star. So to prove it to all my doubters I claimed, watch me pick up this car. Positioned here, in front of me, reminding me that it is real, this 2-ton, 4-door, somewhat spacious plane automobile, and I no longer have to recollect when things started to go south, because it was right there when I decided to open my mouth. And why not? It's the truth as I see it, and I know that I can prove it. Why not stand in front of this mountain and confidently say that I can move it? Why not tell them superheroes are real? They actually existed. Watch me lift this automobile completely unassisted. So I gathered up my doubters as I've already suggested. Told them of my superpowers, now watch me manifest it. Y'all will all bear witness as I lift this. Believe that I am gifted. And with all my strength and physical fitness, I started to heave. And I couldn't lift it. I tried again and again, and I simply couldn't do it. I have the strength of 40 men. I even put my back into it. I mean, it wouldn't even budge. To continue would be futile. I couldn't push it, couldn't pull it. Someone put this car in neutral. The reality is mortality has opened up my eyes. I have garnered a new mentality. It's time to recognize that this world that I've created isn't entirely serving me. Fabricated words of absurdity, seasoned and baked in hyperbole. It was all in my mind. living within an exaggerative truth. I wasn't that fast, I couldn't fly, just remnants of an imaginative youth. Half-baked capered schemes manufactured by this poet. So I learned to taper down my dreams of being superheroic. So soft and silently time moves as adulthood takes over. So harsh and violently time proves that every man has to grow older. Now immersed in the realism of life's burdens, and so we put away the thoughts that consume the young version of ourselves. I'm leagues past the age of 12, and that superhero stuff is collecting dust on my shelves. But that's just the surface. For my entire life I've been in service to a part of my imagination that really serves no purpose. Stagnant yet nervous to the effects of life's rigors. So I put away the distractions of fictitious action figures, focusing on my future, which embraced me to the past. The stories of my ancestors and the shadows that they cast. Ancestors whose stories were historic and serious, thriving by surviving the diasporic experience. Olympian ancestors whose courage paces with his legacy, ran races in order to fight despite the height of white supremacy. Ancestors who crossed rivers and leaped over ridges, made a movement out of mayhem and marched over bridges. Which made me think, is this real? Or is this an illusion? Looking at the stories of my people, I came up with one conclusion. My ancestors were courageous, so doesn't it seem outrageous that we marvel action figures when we should marvel at greatness? Keeping all of this in line, how could we be so blind? Clearly superheroism has to be redefined. It's not about superhuman attractions and supernatural seeings. It is the extraordinary actions of ordinary human beings, whose message is so profound it leaves no room for ambiguity, whose legacy makes such a sound that it resounds in perpetuity. You don't want to talk to me about superheroes. To me there's nothing to discuss, for I know superheroes that move culture simply by sitting at the front of a bus. I know citizens made villains by unwilling to yield to demands, conducted boycotts and sit-ins in order to make a stand. You don't want to talk to me about superheroes. That is a complete waste of my time, when I know one that's been to the mountaintop, unafraid to do the climb. Superheroes that conquered apartheid with negotiations of intelligence. Superheroes that conquered nations and in situations rode elephants. Boxing superheroes whose greatest fight wasn't even in the ring. Supreme Court superheroes with the sword of civil rights to swing. Superheroes that I've learned at every turn in every era. Superheroes in high demand, indeed they stand in the face of terror. I could tell you a superhero at a time when baseball was unforgiving. He endured the racist faces while stealing bases for a living. You can hear the hate from home plate as the chains of the overseer clang. But he fought Batman like holy Batman, like onomatopoeia bang. I can name you superheroes all day, but to me there is none greater than she who has paved the way as the Underground Railroad crusader. Moving in the name of freedom like others that came before us, existing by the example of what our ancestors taught us, which is superheroism resides inside you. So if you are looking for a fictitious character to guide you, then you are begging to be lied to. So if anyone tells you they're as fast as light, trust me, keep your distance. And if they say they have strength 40 times your might, meet them with resistance. And if they claim that they can leap tall towers, question their existence. For we've learned the truest superpowers are knowledge, courage, and persistence. And then it's gravity we defy. But that statement needs to be expounded. You see, evidence does apply, and by precedence we are bounded. For at 12 I claim to soar to the sky and leave you all astounded. But I've learned in life, in order to fly, you have to be well grounded. And I keep thinking about that 12-year-old trying to pick up that vehicle, wondering, is it about lifting up a car or lifting a people? But I still wanted to be that superhero, so tell me, what must I do? That's when I heard the voices of my ancestors, clear, concise, and true, saying the superhero you seek has always been inside of you.
Woo!
Many moons have gone by since the last time we've met. Spoons of cries I analyze, chastise my eyes with regret. You are my queen of the palace, my weekend in Paris. I've done you wrong for so long, and still you hold no malice. You are my sanity. And I traded you away for no more than 2 coins, because the urge in my loins laid where all misery joins. The vision wasn't clear to me, so blurry was longevity. I foundered with emotions and I fought my own integrity. Yes, I questioned my fidelity, but her words were smooth in motion. I saw those hips, and the parting of her lips told me nothing about devotion. I searched for explanations and found not one that can fit. Butterflies held summits in my stomach, working down to my pit. I told her I loved her, but I know she feels deceived. What words can I utter to make you to believe? You are my sanity, my inner eye, my deeper light, my clear blue sky, my natural high, the reason why I sleep at night. How could I say it in one sentence to forgive my past tenses? I've lost all my senses and now I face the consequences. My love, I never planned it. I didn't mean to be so candid. I feel I should die. I cried to be reprimanded. I tried to run from the pain but couldn't hide in my guilt. I covered myself in shame but found no comfort in my quilt. How weakened is your tolerance and your patience walks on stilts. Your heart can no longer race or flip off this relationship that we've built. I've broken our sacred creed. Avariciously I found the need. Now what words can I say to you to erase this evil deed? You are my sanity, and my love for what it's worth. You are my place has been, my space within, my favorite sin, my down to earth, my down to earth, my down to earth. You see, I promised my baby girl that I would never tell her no lies, no disguises. Never will I pull the wool over her eyes, no surprises. Straight up, brutal, honest truth, please be advised that life isn't always merry and not filled with cherry pies, so at my parental discretion I proceeded to answer her questions, giving her lessons were blessings that she needed and heeded way before her adolescence, so baby girl. You will learn through your experiences and the emotions that you feel. Through life's myths and mysteriousness, there are things that will appear, but are not real. For in America, they will feed you such edible words, fairy tales from here to heaven, all kinds of credible absurds that will turn such myths to legend. And if you're not meticulous, you'll be believing in such ridiculous things, like apes who can talk, and fish who can walk, and ponies that fly without wings. Ponies that fly without wings, Daddy? Seriously? So silly be that anomaly, baby, but Daddy's not trying to be funny. And since we're here, the tooth fairy is mommy, baby. We don't trade cash for teeth, honey. But due to this economy, baby, make sure you hold on to that money. And I'ma tell you this calmly, baby. There isn't an Easter bunny. If you would have seen the look on her face, the horror, the surprise. But I promised my baby girl that I would never tell her no lies. So with extreme trepidation, hesitation, and pause, I answered her question when she asked, but what about Santa Claus? Baby, are we to believe in a white-bearded, big-bellied man named Santa? Who traveled to 1 billion homes around the world in one night, I mean? Could he even make it to Atlanta? We must be prepared to say this story is engineered, honey. Have we ever seen a flying reindeer? Without wings, Daddy. Yes, baby, without wings. And after all that was said and done that night, I was quite confident she got the gist. But that night she screamed she saw monsters in the dark as if they were gorillas in the mist. I thought since we spoke of what was not real, she would have added monsters to the list. No need to be afraid of the dark, my love. Monsters don't exist. And she felt safe. And life goes on with more questions for her to ask, and more lessons for her to learn, more concepts for her to grasp, and more trust for me to earn. So we moved on from fairy tales, imaginative beings of mystery, moved on to what was real, and in school they were talking about black history. Excited was my flow, for at her age I didn't know that they taught this. So I told her about the 4 M's of black history: Medgar, Malcolm, Martin, and Marcus. I continued on with Fannie Lou Hamer, Shirley Chisholm, and great old Harriet T. For she needed to know the greatness of black women that she will future be. I continued on with Maya Angelou, let me tell you, she was fascinated. Then came the hard questions. Daddy, how come Medgar, Malcolm, and Martin was assassinated? She knows what assassinated means. There comes a time a child's mentality no longer thrives on being cute. They come face to face with an undoubted fallacy, for they cannot find the proof. No more fairy tales, false fantasies threaded within our youth. For there is a harsh reality that's embedded within the truth. You see, how do I tell my baby girl that sometimes there are more guns than roses? How do I tell her about evil forces with burning crosses and water hoses? I want to tell her about her ancestors that refused to kneel on stubborn knees. But how do I tell her of roots and strange fruit that hung from southern trees? It is the evil. It is the evil that men do that has me thinking like this. 'Cause now I have to tell my baby girl that yes, monsters do exist. How do I tell her? How do I tell her that they exist more than just in the corners of our minds, based on society's fears and they vary within the times? How do I tell her that they exist, not in fairy tales, but in the realness of the night, within a socio-political construct that peaks at racial anger's plight? They exist as an abomination through the echoes of eternity, through the smuggling of slaves, through a swastika Germany. They exist within places where racism stays systemic still, and the broken noses of Kemet to the broken bones of Emmett Till. They exist in present day. On a southern night you may see the most, under the sheets of the KKK. Some say they look like ghosts. Honey, forget about flying ponies, reindeers, or even unicorns. There could be a monster out that door with a badge, a gun, and a blue uniform. And those monsters exist in a world where conspicuous has to be me. Where stop and frisk, we got sick of this like syphilis in Tuskegee. Those monsters, those creations, when at night you see their dark side, they reek of segregation, for they dwell in the bowels of apartheid. Our grandparents used to make us nervous as they warned us through urges. Don't go out late at night, for the monster's head emerges. Stay inside, run and hide, for your life you cannot purchase. This is a place where brothers die when certain women clutch their purses. I am a lion, and in the land of the eagle they conduct illegal searches. No telling where, no telling how the monster will resurface. How do I tell my of-age daughter beware of where the monster surges? Don't wear a hoodie in Sanford, Florida, or dwell in South Carolina churches. Don't drive a car in Wheeler County, Texas, for what they do to black women you wouldn't believe. And if you see a monster in Staten Island, Minnesota, or Memphis, you may not be able to breathe? How? How do I tell her all of this in a land that's supposed to be more stable, where monsters are supposed to be trapped within fairy tales and fables? Ambitiously fictitious like Anne of Green Gables, not spoken of in newspapers or at dinner tables. How do we tell our sons and daughters? It must take some kind of art. How do we explain the insane without tearing their world apart? Well, I looked my daughter straight in the eyes, and I told her straight from the heart, yes, my love, monsters do exist, but they're the ones afraid of the dark.
What?